Let's see. The Texans, the Chargers, the Ravens, the Bears, Dallas, and Philly. Basically, 30 to 40% of the NFL has interest in Saquon Barkley, but yet the New York Giants are probably not going to keep Saquon Barkley. It makes no sense. Now, let me beat everybody to the punch. Well, you got so many holes. How do you possibly justify bringing back a running back who's in his late 20s who gets hurt a lot? Yeah, I understand that. Last year, which is why I was on the side of the Giants based on their hardball stance. The salary cap exploded nearly 14%, Sal. If the Giants don't find a way to entice Saquon Barkley and keep him here, they failed.
But why? And I love Saquon Barkley, the player. To me, it's not about the player. It's not about the person. I love him as a person as well. You know, I don't know him personally, but everything that he embodies is what you would want in an athlete. However, he plays a position that has been deemed, I don't want to say useless, but we're getting there. And you could find somebody to do what, you know, or close to what he does for far cheaper. Where the Giants are at as a team right now, it just doesn't make sense to overextend for him. He's worth more than what they're willing to pay him. He is worth more to a team that is closer to winning it all than the Giants are. So for me, if they can't come to an agreement, if Barkley doesn't want to give them the hometown discount, nor should he, and if Joe Shane and the Giants don't want to extend themselves, you know, like they should have done maybe a year ago where things were different and they screwed that up, and we can get to the Daniel Jones side of it a little bit later on. But they didn't do it last year for a reason, and obviously this year they still have whatever their value is on Saquon Barkley. He's probably going to get more elsewhere, and then you don't worry about it if you're a Giant fan. That's it. It sucks to lose a good player. You've been down this road before, but they don't need Saquon Barkley right now.
I don't know that they've been down this road before. What New York Giant did the fans, clamor to keep, and they lost?
Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay, that was more split.
Well,
and it was more understandable because he was devolving from he was no longer apparently locked in. He was starting to
Giant fans loved
show.
him. It may have been irrational, but they loved him. Like, I never wanted Odell Beckham Jr. I thought he was highly overrated, as I think he's still proven to be in his career.
Oh, he's finished. He
was a problem. Saquon Barkley's never been that. But I'm just saying, as far as the magnitude of the player and the connection with the fan base, Giant fans loved Odell Beckham Jr., hated to see him get traded, even though I thought that was the right move. Giant fans, and maybe even less so, will be upset. They'll be upset to see Barkley go, but maybe even fewer fans than were upset to see Beckham because they realize the position and the devaluing of the running back.
See, I'm going to give you this. I do think that there's a decent amount of Giant fans out there who are certainly hearing this now and have thought about this for a while, that there's a better way to construct a team moving forward. And by the way, fundamentally, I don't disagree with those people, but I think that what those people are missing is that there is a window money-wise where it doesn't compromise the future build of the Giants. And let's face it, we all know that they need a lot. But it also retains their most dynamic player. Like, if this was irresponsible, Sal, I'd be saying the exact opposite. He's expected $10 million a year.
Right.
10.
He's probably going to get more than that.
Okay. Now, listen, I will say this.
I don't know. I'm just guessing Barkley's going to get more than that. Texans, Eagles, whatever. And wherever he goes, to me, it doesn't matter. If the Giants don't think his value is proper at where they're at as a team, then you know what? Let him go.
Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm kind of with you there. Like, say if the Eagles or Dallas comes up with an irresponsible offer, which, by the way, I don't think that will happen. I think the biggest suitor is going to come from either the Texans or the Chargers. Remember, don't forget, Jim Harbaugh, when he was with the Niners, first with Alex Smith, then with Colin Kaepernick, when they ran the ball, they weren't really throwing it all over the place. They had a pretty good tight end in Vernon Davis, but they didn't throw the ball much. Greg Roman was his offensive coordinator. They are going to go run heavy.
Right.
So I think with the Chargers, even though Herbert can really sling the ball, Harbaugh's going to run the football. So I think the Chargers will make a heavy push. I know the Texans will as well. And if it becomes 12, 13, 13-5, trending toward McCaffrey territory, that is untenable. And I don't care if it's Philly. I don't care if it's Dallas. I don't care about the negative PR backlash. Then Saquon's got to go. Then you can fully justify it. In my opinion, you cannot justify allowing by far, we'll see what happens with Jalen Hyatt, but your most dynamic player to leave the building over a couple of cents. It makes no sense, and I got to keep reasserting this. The numbers back up what I'm saying. The salary. See, what happened with COVID, all right, the residue of COVID in the NFL pertaining to the finances wasn't felt I mean, it was indirectly because nobody was in the stadiums and vendors, obviously, parking, et cetera. But that's a mere pittance for what they actually make based on the TV money. So the COVID residue wasn't really felt until 2022. And then it was able to build itself back up. So this 14% spike in revenue in salary cap for each team is now telling you that not only is the NFL healthy now, but that next year the cap's going to keep going up. That's the way it works. Don't tell me the Giants can't scrap together $10 million.
No, they can, but they don't want to because
But why not?
They have to build a whole team. You can't justify paying a running back that much money with where they are at as an organization. The dilemma is that he's such a special person, both on and off the field. That's where you have a problem. They drafted him, which they never should have at number 2. We've gone over this a million times before. It was idiotic. You can't take a running back, especially where they were at, the second pick overall. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, but they did that, and now because they have such a terrific player and a great human being, you want to keep him here. But it just doesn't fit the philosophy of trying to build a team the way that Joe Shane knows he needs to build a team. You can't pay a running back, especially one now at this point who's getting older, if you're not close to winning $10 million or more a year, which is what he's worth on the open market, maybe more to a team that's closer to winning.
All right, 877-337-6666. Good morning, everybody. Going to be an interesting day. Numbers and names and things floating around. Wilson, Russell, I thought we knew he wasn't going to the Giants. Russell Wilson already done with the Steelers. That deal could get done because he was cut. And he was a free agent, so it's a different set of rules there. The tampering period today, which obviously means nothing, but it's going to be an explosive day. And locally, it is around Saquon Barkley. That's where you start, 877-337-6666, BT and Sal on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. I also want to say this real fast before we get to the phone. So, to me, Daniel Jones will start week 1. I've said that last week. Some people disagree, and I'm not saying that I love it. I'm just telling you what's going to happen based on their dopey economic commitment to Jones. They can't cut him. It's too punitive. We know that. So if Jones is healthy, Jones will start. And if Jones starts, you would imagine Jones simply is not going to be running as much as he kind of slowly comes back from the knee injury, so you need a running back. Boom. Saquon obviously helps you. But also, if you move up in the draft, if you do something, you draft a young quarterback, don't you think it behooves the young quarterback to, basically accelerate his learning curve to have Saquon Barkley behind him? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but isn't it more important to have a better offensive line,
a
good
both.
defense?
I think you can do both.
Do both in 10 years.
Because they picked
maybe longer.
True, because they picked the wrong guys, not because they didn't have the money, because they couldn't draft.
Right. It's better to me. I love Saquon Barkley, so it's not about him, the player, or the person. It's about where the Giants are at. And if they valued Barkley where they did a year ago, I don't care that the cap goes up, BT. The value on him still remains the same in their mind. And if he wants the most money, and I hope for his sake he gets the most money, it's going to be somewhere else. And once that is the case, if I'm the Giants or the Giant fans, I say, you know what? Good luck, best of luck elsewhere. Giants are rebuilding here. The divisional round appearance a couple years ago was an aberration. They're rebuilding here, and they need to get the process going. You cannot justify paying a running back, I don't care who it is, over $10 million.
All right, let's get to you. Again, BT and Sal on the Fan, 877-337-6666. Just to reiterate, there's not a prediction that he's staying. What I'm saying is, if ownership allows him to walk, they messed up. Greg's in Rahway, BT and Sal. What's going on, Greg? How you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm all in favor of keeping Saquon Barkley. Actually, last year I was in favor of him getting a long-term deal. They could have structured it some way to keep this guy. He's one of the top running backs in the league when he's healthy. Who's going to replace this guy? There ain't that many guys out there that have the talent of this guy. I'm pissed off that they ain't going to take care of this guy. He's a good guy.
But Greg, they're trying. Well, yes, he is a good guy, and that is a hard part of the whole thing. But they're trying to build a team basically from scratch. I mean, that's what should have happened a couple years ago. But because they went to the divisional round, they doubled down on Daniel Jones. Major mistake that they're going to pay for it. That cost them at least a year, maybe 2, as far as the rebuild goes. And, they brought Saquon back, franchise tag, and they're now evaluating the situation. You can't justify paying a running back, I don't care who he is, how nice a guy he is, where they're at as a team, $10 million. You just can't do it. Doesn't make sense. That, to me, would be the last piece. That's the last piece you bring in is a running back. You draft one, you develop them, you get them on the cheap, you have success. You could turn them over. The more let's say you draft one in the third round, whatever, he's good for 3-4 years. Boom, you draft another one, another 3-4 years. That's how it should be with running backs. And if you need one as a missing piece, you go out there and get one like some teams will do with maybe Saquon Barkley this offseason. The Giants aren't in that spot.
This is a tough sentimental spot for fans because, again, I can see your side, Sal. Generally, when we disagree, we're so kind of dug in and locked into what we believe that it's going to be almost hard to even understand, embrace what the other guy's saying because we're just different with whatever it might be. This we're not that different on, except when it comes time to actually make the decision, I'm keeping him. And by the way, can anybody point out the big money makers on the Giants side of the football? Andrew Thomas got his deal. Obviously, Jones. Where's the high-paid wide receiver? Where's the high-paid tight end? I mean, you're paying nobody anything.
Right, but why would you
on a rookie deal?
Why would you pay a running back? Is the point?
But you're not. You see, $10 million. This is where we fundamentally disagree. Do you think that of $255.4 million, $10 million is reckless?
I think
is exorbitant for usage rate and production that Saquon gets.
Committing what they have to give to Saquon. See, this is not a knock. You're not going to get me to knock him, the player. I'm not even going to go the health way. I don't care about that. Running backs, players get hurt, so I'm not worried about the injuries when it comes to Saquon Barkley. Obviously, you'd rather him play a full season, but I mean, it's just not reality with certain cases in the NFL. A lot of the time. I am not paying a running back at this point in a rebuild. Period. End of story. Now, I also didn't want to trade Saquon Barkley last year at the deadline. I thought it was more important to keep him, have a positive feel, see where you're at as a team. They're a disaster right now. They need a new quarterback. They're basically, in my mind, in year one of a rebuild, although it's year 3 with Shane and Dable. So they cost themselves a year or two because of Daniel Jones and the decision they made with that. Franchise tagging Barkley last year, also a mistake. You could have said lock him up then, which they didn't do, and they would have then benefited from having the cap explode the way that it did. I am not at this particular point. I'm trying to wipe this slate clean. I am not paying a running back. I don't care who it is over $10 million.
So everybody's telling me, and he ultimately might be terrific. Everybody's telling us, and you hear it a lot. Listen, I really trust Joe Shane, and I do. I don't know if I trust him as much as everybody because Joe Shane got played like a rookie. When you go back to whether or not
made a colossal mistake.
No, we're not going to trade Saquon Barkley. We're not going to trade you. We're not going to trade. You would go and know everybody that had a clue, just a speck of NFL intelligence knew the Giants were going. I don't mean going into the season during that little renaissance, which created this false hope and hype. Everybody knew the Giants. They were lucky. They stunk. Okay, they stunk, and the Giants took the position. We're not trading Saquon, which I respect. Provided you try to keep the guy.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but they did try to keep him, and they couldn't come to an agreement.
No, I'm talking about no. I don't mean last offseason.
No, I'm talking about now. I
don't think they're trying to keep him now. They're not even really.
Maybe not now, but I believe that they did try to talk to him before the franchise tag decision. I don't
think they had real serious discussions, Sal.
I mean, maybe not, but then Saquon wants to get paid, and that's his right, and they know it's not going to be here. If he wants the most money, it's certainly not going to be here. I don't think the Giants just didn't want him back. I don't think they want him back at what he's going to get, which is top running back market. You cannot pay a running back atop the market if you're at where the Giants are at.
I agree with that, but that doesn't mean that Joe Shane didn't mess this up.
Well, he did screw it up.
That's what that needs to be pointed out. Like, I get it. Those are two different things. I just kind of threw that in there. But part of being, and again, Joe might be really, really good, and I think that he's done some really good things so far. And I do trust Joe Shane. He butchered that. Because if they knew internally that they weren't going to bend for Saquon's contracts. They knew the parameters, generally speaking, of what Saquon was going to ask for, what the market would yield, and they had no interest in trading him. What are you doing? It's wildly inconsistent. Let me get Chuck in Meriden, Connecticut, BT and Sal. What's going on, Chuck?
Hey, guys. Love the show. How are you?
Good, Chuck? Pal. What's happening, man?
I've been a Giants fan for over 60 years.
You go, Chuck.
First game I saw was in 1963.
Woof. Hey, listen, Chuck, just don't tell us any stories when you were walking to the player parking lot. Sal's going to hang up on you. He wouldn't hear about those stories.
I'm already getting itchy. Just get to it.
I've been listening to Sal about Saquon, and I got three things to tell you.
Go ahead.
Wrong, and wrong.
There you go, Chuck.
If you are a Giant fan, you have to keep Saquon.
Saquon.
I know it doesn't make
It's
sense.
Saquon.
Usually,
What's his name again?
Usually, Saquon.
Wrong.
Oh, come on, Chuck.
I'm sorry,
Wrong.
Saquon.
That's all right. Saquon. So keep
Yeah.
making your point, Chuck. You good. Saquon, I got you. Go ahead.
And,
Good.
and understand what you're saying about a running back. But Saquon is so important for what they do, and he embodies the team. Every once in a while, there's a player that you just don't get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
Eli was one, Michael Strahan was another, and Saquon should be another.
Understood, but
Because
the problem is he's a
again,
running back.
again,
No.
if he
The problem is, Chuck, he's a
Thank
running
you,
back.
Chuck.
And the problem is you're saying, what are they going to do with all that he does? How are they going to replace it? Their offense stinks. It's bad with him. I love Saquon Barkley. I don't even want to be in a position of saying something bad about him because I value him greatly. Not only his ability, but even more so who he is. And if I'm running an organization, I want Saquon Barkley on my team. However, because of the devaluing of the running back position, because of where the Giants are at as a franchise, which is in a total rebuild, they don't have a quarterback. You cannot lock up a running back before you have a franchise quarterback. It makes no sense. Their defense not good enough. Their offensive line's not good enough. They basically don't have anything, the Giants, right now. And you're looking to make it a priority to bring Saquon Barkley back? I want him back too. It does not make sense when building a team.
I got a question for you here, Sal.
Yeah.
Do you think we hear the word a lot and you know it when it's there and you know it when it's not?
Mm-hmm.
But do you believe in culture? You believe in culture, whether it's culture here at the fan, culture within a team.
Yeah, I mean,
culture.
To a certain extent, I don't know what the exact definition of culture
what,
is,
it's
but
fairly
yes,
fluid.
yes.
Yeah, but okay. I asked you-
Chemistry, positive,
For sure.
accountability,
Accountability.
locker room feel, all that stuff.
Okay, so we're on the same page. We both believe. I would imagine almost everybody believes that culture
He's
matters.
a great culture guy.
On some level. Do you believe that on some level, based on the Wink stuff, the record, the emotion, you think that it's fair to say that the head coach is a little embattled, a little shaky going into year 3? Just a little.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Do you believe that Daniel Jones is a leader? I mean a real leader.
I actually do think he's got leadership traits.
Yeah.
And then the problem is he can't stay on the field, and when he is on the field, he's not very good.
Okay, so that's more of a no, just based
Right.
on a lack of availability, and he's not the leader. I don't
Right.
think. And if I'm out of school, then Giants can hear this and they can put me in my place, and I'll apologize. I think that the guys respect Jones. I don't think that Jones resonates the way the true leaders, like a Sims, who would just get in Parcells' face and light him up. And Eli, who was also quiet like Jones, but obviously more successful, I don't think he's bringing that cachet. So the head coach is slightly embattled. The Giants have stunk for the greater part of a decade. Their quarterback is not the leader people need him to be. And you're telling me you're going to let the one guy who everybody respects leave over $1 million? That makes no sense.